but it was a well-crafted next installment into this series. Where you at? Why'd you leave us? Why'd you leave Iseult? I'm mad at you. What do we do? Like, how do we kill him? Do we save him? Hi, hello, my name is Tiana. Welcome to the corner of the internet that I'm currently occupying. In today's video, we'll be talking about Witchshadow by Susan Dennard. I've started this series since I think I was 15. I think I started it many moons ago, and here we are a lot of years later and a lot of books later, and my heart can't take anymore. Now, Witchshadow, this book was really good. It's amazing. I forgot how much I missed Susan Dennard's writing. She is a strong, well-written writer. Oh my god, like, this book was so good. When you think of fast-paced, when you think of a epic fantasy, when you think of fantasy, this series needs to come to mind for everybody. That's how good this series is. It is a whirlwind of magic, of characters and world building, and just a good plot. It is so good, and the fact that I waited 2 years for this book, it was worth it. And the fact that I might have to wait another 2 years for the last book in the series is disappointing. If you were like me and you read the books as they came out and you didn't reread them throughout the meantime, you might have needed a recap, and I most for certainly did. I even tweeted Susan Dennard on Twitter. I was like, hey, do you have a character guide or anything? She was like, no, but I have a recap on the website. I didn't know there was a recap until today, or until the day I asked her. This world is just filled with, I think Dennard mentioned that she was trying to embody Croatia, I think, I'm not 100% sure. But just the magic, the language, I keep repeating myself, it's so good. So throughout the series, we have this character Iseult, and Iseult is a thread, or she grew up in a Nematzi tribe, and she's a thread witch. Thread witches and Nematzi, they are considered others in this series. With this book, Dennard made it a point to show how even if you have this dark magic, even if you are from this weird tribe, there is great power within you, and it's how you wield it. With great power comes great responsibility, and that was the theme of this book. I feel like we do follow Safiya. Safiya has become a hellbard, and she is trying to wiggle her way into Emperor Henrik's mind. She's trying to figure out, why did he want to marry me? Why is he, you know, sneaking around? And also, she's trying to figure out why Leopold, aka Polly, is being so nice to her. She's trying to figure out, why did he give me my Wtichlands, and this, that, and the third. This book is very character dense, so stick with me here. So we have Iseult, Safiya, then we have Vanessa and Vivia. Vanessa and Vivia are on their own quest together, and they are now queens without a throne. And throughout this entire book, we're just seeing this friendship form between Vanessa and Vivia, and how Vivia used to loathe the Empress, because Nobrevna, where Vivia is her highness too, she's always loathed the Empress because Nobrevna has been impoverished. At the 20 years truce treaty, or the 12 years, I can't remember how long it was, they poisoned the waters, they just soiled they ruined the soil, so Nobrevna would be crippled essentially. And with Vanessa and Vivia working together, we see how Empress Vanessa had to mold herself in the tough iron witch that she is known for, and also to see how that iron melts. I was team Vivia and Vanessa all the way. I peeped that shit a mile away, okay? Stix and Ryber. Stix is a paladin, and paladins in this world, they have two souls in one body. Seeing Stix battle with that in herself, I was like, oh, my baby, are you okay? Do you need some water? Hello? Oh, with Ryber and the tarot cards and helping Stix embrace the paladin inside her, and also, you know, having to be the last sight witch. In Sight Witch, we learned that Ryber was in the monastery. She worships Safiya, I think that's the name, I can't pronounce it correctly. The mountain goddess basically gave her mission saying, save me. So throughout this entire book, I'm trying to figure out who the good paladins are and who the bad paladins are, and who is on our side and who's not on our side. With this series, Dennard is really out here trying to make a very non-antagonist storyline, so it is hard to decipher who can I root for? And who is not going to hurt my main gal, Safi, Iseult, Vanessa, Vivia, Stix, Ryber? I know it's a lot. Just give me a moment. Then we have Ahwen and Iseult. Iseult, we really don't get to see much of in this book as we did in Truth Witch. Iseult is now possessed by a paladin. And then Ahwen is the same. Ahwen, he really had his redemption arc in Blood Witch. Blood Witch was fantastic. Like, it blew, I think, I don't know if Blood Witch is bigger, but like it just blew everything out of the water and it helped everything click. So with this book, with everything now clicking into place, I was like, Ahwen, where you at? Why'd you leave us? Why'd you leave Iseult? I'm mad at you. But then I realized, oh, he ain't. That's not the Ahwen we know and love, and it was very upsetting. If you are interested in seeing the story progress, if you're interested in seeing Iseult get her book, please pick up Witchshadow. It was worth the 2-year wait that I waited for this book, truly and honestly. And when I say this, I say it with conviction because I was upset. I understood why Susan Dennard had to take a minute to finish her book, but it was a well-crafted next installment into the series, and I cannot wait for any other books that she decides to write, if she decides to write anymore, because I know she's a new mom now, and I'm just like, ma'am, please, this lonely soul would like more of your work, please. And this series just did that, okay? Like, when this series is over, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I am going to be a wreck. Let's get into this spoilery section. I know I gave you a lot in the beginning, but now we're gonna get into a lot in this spoilery section. So if you have not read this book, if you wanna spoil yourself, then go right ahead. I cannot tell you what to do or what not to do, so that is, you know, dealer's choice, viewer's choice. I'll catch you later. So Witchshadow is Iseult's book. Finally a girl is getting some respect. Put some respect on it. So as I've said, Iseult is an Amatsi, Iseult is a Thread Witch, and now she has been marked as a Void Witch. Throughout this book, we have flashbacks with Safi and Iseult in Kartora, and in Kartora, Safi is engaged to the Emperor, and it is all for this elaborate plan that her uncle and her two, what do you call them? Her uncle and her two trainers, masters, what have you, have all been built up to. In Blood Witch, we have this betrayal by Habim and Aaron, and now we're at this apex, at this pinnacle of what was this all for? Like, why? With Safi and Iseult navigating the palace and navigating Emperor Henrik and His Imperial Highness Leopold, we're just confused as to how did we get from the flashbacks to the present. So the flashbacks are very good in this book because sometimes in audiobooks, I did audiobook this, it is very jarring to have that in an audiobook. So for Susan Dennard to just like graciously move me through the flashbacks and into the present was just so well done. This is just me like kissing Susan Dennard's butt for like the next 50 minutes. I'm so sorry. Iseult has been finally marked as a Void Witch on her wrist, and it's something that Iseult has not come to terms with mentally and emotionally because all her life she has felt othered by her Namatsi tribe and being a Thread Witch. In the entire series, we have this phrase, stasis in your fingers and toes. I'm trying to say it as the accent in the book, or in the audiobook, because it was just so good. So stasis in your fingers and toes, and stasis means just like a nice Thread Witch calm. You don't show emotion because Weaver Witches see the threads of the world. They're so overwhelmed by the world's emotions that they can't really understand their emotions because they're supposed to stay neutral and to just weave the threads of the world. And for Iseult, it was really hard because she was just like, I have this lovely thread sister who is half of me, the Carowin, and I can't be what she is. But I'm supposed to be what you're telling me to be, but I just can't be that because I don't know what I am. And in this book, we just have Iseult's like, go off sis moments. In the book, we have the shadow worm, and it's first presented to us as a monster, and Iseult is just like, I'm the shadow worm, I'm a monster, but at the same time I can process emotions. And at that scene, I was an actual blubbering mess. I was in my car driving on a back road of all roads going 60 miles an hour in a 35. I'm gonna go to jail after this. with Safi in this book, it was an even balance of Safi and Iseult because Carowin is the balance. With Safi, she is just distraught. Her uncle is dying. She doesn't have her magic. She can't discern truth from lie in a court full of lies and an emperor who doesn't even entertain her. Like, she can't even... Safi runs on being the cat and mouse in either situation. So for her to just like be left alone, you see her going stir crazy a little bit because she's just like, I don't know what game to play. I played all my cards and now they have a hand that I can't even see. And that was just the in this entire book, especially with Leopold and Henrik and their own games going on and Safi being thrown into that mix, as well as the whole Hellbard plot line as well. And with Safi and the Hellbards, I am so glad that she... In Truthwitch, you really see Safi as an arc and caring for other people, not being as impulsive as she can be or as she was. So with her Thread family and the Hellbards, it was just so beautiful seeing her care for them and treat them as family, because she's only had Iseult her entire life. Granted, she had Habim and Abram, I think that's his name, but those men have been long gone. We don't even know where they are. I forgot where they are, so it's irrelevant to me. When Iseult and Safi finally link up and the whole, what was it, the Hellbard's loom is brought down, we finally learn that Corlant, aka Witchy Voodoo guy, is Iseult's daddy. So with Iseult, her mom has never showed her affection, and I assume the Namatsi tribe was very matriarchal in the sense that you really didn't know who your daddy was anyway, so why even bother? But for her, she never really knew who she was, where she really came from, in the sense that like this magic just up and started within her. And how did she get to point A to point B to point C of being a Void Witch? And when we find out that Corlant is her dad, I'm like, oh, what do we do? Like, how do we kill him? Do we save him? Because Iseult is a nice gal, but also fuck them whores. I don't care. We gonna and call it a day. Corlant's in the Waffle House. Safi and Iseult are in the Chili's, okay? Two different establishments, two very different vibes. And his vibes were just off in the beginning in Truthwitch. So when we see him again in Witchshadow, I said, oh, you have something important to say. And when Leopold killed him, I was like, oh damn, guess we'll never say it. Too bad. And when Leopold kills Corlant, I said, hold up, rewind it back. Isn't he the Rook King? Like, isn't he the... So we have a Raider King and a Rook King. There are too many R's for me to like process who the good guy and bad guy is at this very moment. Like, I really couldn't. So the Raider King, I think, is bad, right? Right. And the Rook King, he understands that there's some necessary evils we have to, you know, sacrifice and do to get to the good. I think that's where we're heading with this book. I don't know. Again, I need to reread this series or do like a head count as to who's good, who's bad, who's not killing Iseult and Safi, but we ain't there yet, at least not mentally. So Leopold, throughout this entire freaking book, he is out here with his own agenda. And when we had this flashback with Safi, no, when we had this flashback with Leopold and Iseult, I'm like, hold up. He loves her, but which one loves her? Is it Leopold or is it the Rook King? I'm concerned because I don't know how, like, I love Ahwen and Iseult. So I was like, I don't want this whole fucking love triangle in this bitch. Like, get that out. This is 2021. We're done with love triangles. Oh, and then Al, if you don't remember from Blood Witch, she is a little child that Ahwen and Iseult were caring for. They found in a Namatsi tribe that had been pillaged and left for dead. So we find out that Al is Safiya, who was a paladin and is now talking to Trickster. And Trickster, we have these nursery rhymes throughout the entire book with Iseult and Al, and I should have paid attention. I really should have. So we're gonna do a reread at some point because I need to connect all the dots. I need to understand who Trickster is. I think he's a god, maybe he's a paladin, I'm not 100% sure yet. So when you know, I'll know, I guess. Weasels piss on you, Emperor. So we find out that his heart thread is his mistress. Well, obviously, duh. And that's why he won't engage with Safiya, but thank the gods. We find out that Henrik has 3 children a thread heart, and he didn't want to force Leopold into marriage because he realizes the constraints of like having a crown. And at the end of the book with Safi and Henrik, he wants the origin well. So in the von Hasstrel lands, which where Safi is from, she is the owner of the lands that have the origin well, I guess. And there was a god, I guess, who said that this family can have it, and now he was trying to like marry in the family so he could have it naturally. It was a whole lot of that going on. I'm just like, why does he want the origin well? Like, what can you do with the well again? I was confused so much, but yeah. Oh, and if you remember from early on in the series, we have this puppeteer who Iseult has now finally embodied in this role, and seeing her step into that role was just so heartwarming. So the puppeteer from the beginning of the series, Esme, she has now become a weasel. And mind you, weasel is not really has a good connotation to it. So with her embodying being a weasel, I was like, so is she good or is she a trickster? Like, I'm confused. Elaborate. So with Esme, she was at the heart of every weird voodoo thing going on with Cullen, with Merrick, with Iseult. And now that she has been diminished to being a weasel and she's helping Iseult step into her power, because we're in Frozen now apparently, I was just like, are you telling her the truth? Is this real? I'm not sure. And if you have read Sight Witch up until this point, we have this old scholar, Eurydice. Eurydice, she has this diary, and she was just able to depict every little thing that she learned as being a puppeteer of sorts, and that's really helped Iseult get through this entire book and step into her power, because again, we're in Frozen apparently. And with Iseult, she has believed herself to be a monster. She really couldn't accept the fact that she has void magic, and she's not a thread weaver. She's not a true stasis and fingers and toes type of gal. And with Iseult being able to decipher from evil and good and having magic that may stem from an evil source, but also maintaining a warm heart, was just so good for me to see, because I don't think I've seen a character just yet with a magic as with a magic that stems from an evil source and yet they weren't consumed by that magic. I think with Corlant and I think with Esme, they might have been consumed with it, and with Safi's golden brightness and impulsive manner, I think that's the balance of the Carowin. And I think this is also Iseult coming to terms with that, like, with some good you have to have some bad, and that's literally her magic down to a T. Also Safi's, if you think about it, because she can discern truth from lie. There's some lies and truth, and there's some truth and lies. So again, the Carowinds is yin and yang. Oh, Ryber and Stix. So I really liked Stix because Stix and Vivia are actually thread sisters, and seeing them miss each other so much and like having them always think about each other and at every given chance really showed that they cared for one another, and that it wasn't like Kaol and Dorian where we would think about him like once and we forget about it. And also the power imbalance of like Vivia being a queen and Stix being a captain or first mate, there was no power imbalance. It was equality through and through. No one ever pulled rank. It just felt so refreshing to see. So with Stix, she has really never been challenged in the sense that her magic is superior. She's a full-on water witch. She can freeze on sight, steam anything up. With Stix having to challenge herself against a fire witch, challenge herself against the past paladins in her memory. I also think, I don't know whose book is next. Maybe it's Stix's book. I'm not 100% certain, but hopefully we can get more of Stix's monologue or just more of Stix's storyline, because we have this line of her saying, I miss my family, or a thread family that their threads are attached to mine, but a family I don't know. And she's excited to get to know them because she misses them and yearns for them, but that's the paladin inside of her. And I'm just like, oh my god, my baby's getting more family. Which also means we're going to see a Vivia and Stix reuniting, and I really wish we had more of Safi and Iseult in this book, because in Truth Witch it was just so good seeing them together. You hardly see them together in this book until the end, and that's like for like maybe 2 chapters, 2 segments of this book. So I'm just like, this is annoying. Hopefully we can get more Safi and Iseult, because the only Safi and Iseult I got were flashbacks that, yeah, were important, I guess, but at the same time I just miss seeing them on screen together in real time fucking shit up, point blank period. Hopefully we get to see Vivia and Stix again, because I want to see them fuck some shit up too. And also Vanessa and Vivia OTP. Right, I don't know if they're OTP. I'm still rooting for Iseult and Ahwen, like they're my OTP in this series. But with Vanessa and with Vivi, I'm just like, okay, like y'all have trauma of being queens and y'all feel the pressure and y'all are sick, go off. At the same time, this is a new development we haven't seen flourish yet or be challenged. So I'm just sitting here looking pretty like, okay, do something about it. Hopefully in the next book, which is supposed to come out next year, but I doubt it highly. There are just so many pairings in this book that work so well together, and that the payoff really worked here. And it's so concise, it progressed, it's fast paced. I'm a little confused because I need to reread the series, honestly, to like make sure I have my own head count and I have my own predictions, but that's just a me being a Capricorn thing. Oh, and also with this being Cancer season and I'm a Cancer moon, I was very emotional throughout this entire book. Oh my god. Ahwen with his past, with Iseult and her trauma, with Safi and trying to protect her thread family. I think this series also has a good theme of like, you choose your own family. Your family is not something that you get to choose, but the family that you do choose will be forever lasting, and that is something that I've always believed in, truthfully and honestly. We have reached the end of this video. There are so many things that happen in this book that I wish I could talk about, but I'm happy to discuss them in the comments down below. If you are lurking in my description box, there are ways to support me and my channel. I have an Instagram, I have a Twitter, I have a Goodreads. You are here on YouTube, so guess what? They are linked down below for you. It is a miracle that I knew anything that had happened in the first 5 books in this series, because it has been so long ago since I read this series, but it is my favorite fantasy series of all time. I put that on my bookshelf. So of course I cannot talk about every little thing that happened in this book. If I could, we would be here for actual hours, and I would actually have to shed a tear. I cried too many times in this book, and I was driving, so that was dangerous because I couldn't see. Chef's kiss. Bellissime. So I will catch you on the next one. Bye.